So the 2022 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup returns this week. And the match of the week for me, that standout, is this Hudson River Derby between NYCFC and the New York Red Bulls. This match right here is the match of the week, including MLS. Out of all the matches that's taking place this week, this match right here is the biggest. This match right here is the most important. Why? Because remember when I told you earlier this season that the MLS regular season is not only about the MLS regular season. The thing that separates MLS apart from NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL is that you have multiple seasons that take place within a season. You have the CONCACAF Champions League. Seattle won that. You got the U.S. Open Cup. And then next year, you're going to have the Leagues Cup. So this year, you have two individual seasons that's taking place within the MLS regular season. And then starting next year, it'll be 3 regular seasons that take place within the season. So there are seasons that take place within a season in the MLS. And teams have multiple opportunities to win championships. But you're the New York Red Bulls. You have the opportunity to win 4 championships this year. NYCFC. You're the NYCFC. You have 4 opportunities to win 4 championships this year. You got the U.S. Open Cup. You got the Supporter Shield. You got the Campeones Cup. And you got the MLS Cup. You can win it again for back-to-back seasons. NYCFC, you can emerge as the Golden State Warriors of the MLS. And if that happens, that will be good for the MLS. Because the MLS desperately needs the Eastern power. You already have Seattle and LA Galaxy out west, and they have been doing a good job since the late 90s. The LA Galaxy started it off when the league kicked off in the late 90s. And then the Seattle Sounders, they picked it up in the early 2000s and the teens. Well, actually, LA Galaxy had the late 90s and the early 2000s, and then Seattle had the tweens all the way until now. So that's good. But we all know in sports, when the East is doing good, when there's an Eastern power, more people pay attention to your league. Why? Because majority of the American population live east of the Mississippi River. So when you have more teams east of the Mississippi River performing well, more people will pay attention to your league. This is why if you're the MLS, you have to promote this Hudson River Derby big time this week. This is another reason why I am very excited about this Apple TV deal. Because MLS, you cannot rely on ESPN to promote your product. Why? Because you're not ESPN's top sport. ESPN's top sport is basketball and rugby style football, NFL college football. You can't rely on Fox. Why? Because Fox wants to be like ESPN. So whatever ESPN is doing, Fox is going to do the same thing. The same with CBS, NBC. CBS and NBC are not real sports networks to begin with. I mean, they're not on that level as ESPN and Fox, to be honest with you. I know there's CBS Sports Network, but CBS is not really on that level where they're providing sports content on a daily, like Fox Sports and ESPN. They're not on that level right now. They aspire to be, but they're not there. Anyhow, with Apple TV MLS, you will be able to promote, a match this big. Listen, this match right here, I believe that this Hudson River Derby is It's the biggest Hudson River Derby in New York history, in MLS history. And I'm going to get into that later. But just think about it. When you have Apple TV, and let's say these two teams face each other again in the US Open Cup next year, you'll be able to promote this game so much. You'll be able to publicize it and give so much storylines that leads up to the match. I give you an example. You know when a big college football rivalry is getting ready to take place, when let's say Alabama and Auburn is about to go against each other, or Texas and Oklahoma, or Georgia and Alabama is about to go against each other. Do you see how often ESPN promotes that game? ESPN promotes a Georgia-Alabama game so much it will have you thinking that it's the most important game in the world. ESPN promotes a Georgia-Alabama game so much it will make you think that we got a national holiday coming up. ESPN promotes that game so much, Georgia and Alabama, it'll make you think that we're having a presidential election coming up. You see, MLS, this is the kind of promotion that you need for this type of game, because this type of game is very important. But you're not going to get that. Why? Because ESPN is not your main network. You're not ESPN's main sport. So you're not going to get that big publicity that you should get. However, next year, we're not going to have this issue. Next year, we're not going to have this issue. And I strongly suggest that the MLS season starts at the same time that the new media rights deal starts. I believe the new media rights deal will start in April. So if the new media rights deal, I don't know what's the scheduling and stuff like, but in my opinion, if the new media rights deal starts in April 2023, that's when the MLS regular season should start. But however, I like the season starting in February. But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into that. Next year, we won't have this problem with Apple TV. We're going to get the publicity and the storylines that we need. Now, at first, I was originally going to talk about, this monologue was originally going to be about the importance of the New York Red Bulls winning this. But after I did some further research, I realized that this US Open Cup is also very important for NYCFC. Why? Because both of these clubs have never won a US Open Cup. And as a matter of fact, the only New York team that has ever won a US Open Cup was the Rochester Rhinos. But now today they're called Rochester, New York FC. So Rochester, New York, Rochester FC, I'll just say Rochester FC, was the only has been the only New York team to ever win a US Open Cup. So now these two teams. So who's going to be the first ever MLS, the first ever New York MLS club to win a US Open Cup? Who is going to be the first ever New York club in the country's highest level of football play to win a US Open Cup? You see, Red Bulls, you have been around longer than NYCFC. But NYCFC has already won an MLS Cup championship before you. Red Bulls, you got the 3 supporter shields. That's largely because you've been around longer. You've been around for over 20 years. You're supposed to have more supporter shields wins. But you're also supposed to have more MLS Cup title wins than NYCFC. But you don't. So, New York Red Bulls, are you going to allow NYCFC to win another national championship before you? Because look, the supporter shield, that's just MLS regular season. That's MLS regular season. Winning the supporter shield is not on the same high level magnitude as an MLS Cup or a US Open Cup. Why? Because with the MLS Cup, you are competing against the best of the best from the regular season. US Open Cup, you are competing against multiple leagues. You're not competing against just one league, which is the MLS. You're competing against multiple leagues. So you are the national champion when you win the US Open Cup. Those two reasons are why the MLS Cup and the US Open Cup is bigger than the Supporters Shield. So, New York Red Bulls, are you going to allow NYCFC to win another big title before you? Now, let's break these two teams down. I'm going to break these two teams down real quick for those who don't know much about these two clubs. Well, let me start with the ownership. The New York Red Bulls is owned by billionaire Dietris Mateschitz. Dietris Mateschitz. His net worth is somewhere around 25 billion. So he is a billionaire. His net worth is somewhere around $25 billion. And he's the founder of the Red Bulls energy drink. So the New York Red Bulls is owned by the Red Bulls energy drink. NYCFC. Okay, now NYCFC, you got to listen closely because NYCFC is a little difficult because, I mean, it's not really difficult, but it's complex because NYCFC is not owned by a real majority owner. See, NYCFC is a subsidiary. A subsidiary is a company that is controlled by a holding company. So NYCFC is a company that is controlled by another company, which is City Football Group. And that company, City Football Group, is controlled by another company. This is why I call NYCFC a conglomerate. Because NYCFC is a company that is controlled by another company, which is City Football Group. And City Football Group is a company that's controlled by another company. City Football Group is comprised by three entities. Abu Dhabi United Group, 78%. China Media Capital, 12%. Silver Lake, 10%. Silver Lake is an American firm. I believe it's an American tech firm, Silver Lake. NYCFC is basically owned by Abu Dhabi royal family because the Abu Dhabi United Group, Abu Dhabi Investment Group, is basically Abu Dhabi royal family. They're the ones that operates and controls the Abu Dhabi United Group. So NYCFC's owner is Abu Dhabi. This is why you hear me constantly say Abu Dhabi. I don't say the other guy's name that most of the mainstream media refers to him when they're talking about Manchester City, because the guy who the mainstream media portrays as the majority owner, he is part of the Abu Dhabi royal family. So this is why I say Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi royal family is the owner of NYCFC. The Abu Dhabi royal family, their net worth is 150 billion. So New York Red Bulls is owned by an Australian business, a billionaire. NYCFC is owned by the Abu Dhabi royal family. Now, the all-time series between these two teams in the Hudson River Derby, New York Red Bulls leads 12-6-3, which is expected because they've been around longer. They're supposed to lead this series. They have more experience. And they're not bouncing around from different stadiums. They're not in an away position all the time. They're not playing road games all the time. Like you can arguably state that NYCFC is always on the road. Like seriously. They don't have a home to call their own. So the fact that NYCFC was still able to win an MLS Cup before the New York Red Bulls, based on that, New York Red Bulls, you should be embarrassed. New York Red Bulls, you are losing fans to NYCFC. Now this season, they didn't face each other so far. So this is the first time they're meeting each other this season. And both of these clubs are on top of the Eastern Conference. Now the thing about the US Open Cup, like wins and losses or draws in the US Open Cup, it doesn't affect your points in the MLS regular season, which is something I hope that can change someday. I hope that wins and draws in the US Open Cup can count to your total points in the MLS regular season, because then I think more teams will start to take these matches more serious, and you won't have a guy like Bruce Arena disrespecting the competition, treating it like a preseason match. But that's just my suggestion. That's another monologue for another time. So both of these clubs seek to win their first ever US Open Cup. Let me start with the New York Red Bulls. Why it's more important for you, New York Red Bulls. Dennis Hamlet. This message is for you. For those of you who don't know Dennis Hamlet is the sporting director of New York Red Bulls. And for those who are not familiar with soccer, similar to me, I'm still learning about the game. So the sporting director is basically the GM. He's similar to the GM. Like NFL, you have GM. And the GM, he's basically in charge of the team. He's really in charge of the business operations of the team. The GM is basically the owner, is the guy who the owner puts in charge of the team. So in soccer, it's the sporting director. The sporting director is basically the guy who the owner puts in charge of the team. Make sure things run smoothly, things runs right. So Dennis Hamlet, sporting director of New York Red Bulls. Dennis, if I was in your position today, if I was the sporting director of the New York Red Bulls, either sometime this evening or tomorrow evening, I will call for an emergency private meeting with all the coaches and all the players. We'll come together in a conference room, or we'll come together in a gym, or we'll meet together on the practice field, and I will look every single coach in the eye and every single player in the eye, and I will tell them that your job is on the line on Wednesday night. That this Hudson River Derby, if we lose this Hudson River Derby, everybody's job is on the hot seat. And I'm not only talking about head coaches. I'm talking about all coaches, assistant coaches too. I'm not only talking about starting players. I'm talking about backup players too. Every single coach, every single player that's on this roster, I will tell them your job is on the line in this Hudson River Derby against the US Open, in the US Open Cup against NYCFC. They already won a MLS Cup before us. We cannot allow them to win a US Open Cup before us. This is the team that rents to us. This is the team that we lease our home to them. They're the homeless team. We already allowed the homeless team to win the MLS Cup before us. And I will be damned if I allow the homeless team to win a national title, another national title before us. I'll be damned. I will tell every player, every New York Red Bull player, this game, if you want to be a New York Red Bull, you have to win this match. I don't care how good the player is. I don't care how many goals he done scored this year. I don't care how much money he makes. I don't care what his value is in the transfer market. I'm telling you, every player, you are on the hot seat this week. This is the most important match in New York Red Bulls history. Because if NYCFC wins a US Open Cup before us, they're New York's team. Red Bulls, You are already losing fans to NYCFC. It's getting to the point where NYCFC games are more packed at the Red Bull stadiums than Red Bull's games. They are quickly emerging as the face of New York. They are quickly emerging as the Yankees of New York. They are quickly emerging as the Giants of New York. We cannot lose to this team. This Hudson River Derby, the winner of this Hudson River Derby. Well, look, if NYCFC wins this Hudson River Derby and then they go on to win the US Open Cup, they will become New York's team. Mark my words on this. Dennis Hamlet, listen to me. I know I'm just a small YouTuber, but I'm telling you right now, if NYCFC wins this Hudson River Derby and they go on to win the US Open Cup, they become New York's team. Instantly. Why? Because a lot of people who are starting to watch soccer, a lot of Americans who are starting to watch soccer, they don't really care about what happened in the late 90s. They don't really care about what happened in the early 2000s. Listen, they don't even care what happened in the tweens, the 2015s, 2016. They don't care. They're looking at now. Which team is good now? Which team is good in the 2020 decade? We got a World Cup coming up in 2026. More people are going to become more aware. More people want to become more educated about soccer before 2026. So more people are now watching MLS. More Americans are now watching MLS. So they can become more familiar with soccer by the time 2026 come around. So when 2026 come around, they won't be confused when they watch the games. This Hudson River Derby in the US Open Cup represents a new era for New York football, for New York traditional football, for New York soccer. It represents a new era for the New York Red Bulls and NYCFC. So Dennis Hamlet, either this evening, Monday, June 20th, or tomorrow evening, Tuesday, June 20th, 21st, somewhere between now and before the match on Wednesday, you must host a private meeting with every coach, every player, and maybe every member of the front office too. Every scout, every trainer, everybody involved in this organization. You have to tell them that your job is on the line. And look, even if the owner can, because I know owners, they're busy. They got different business entities. But if the owner of the Red Bulls, if he can be involved in this meeting, that would be even better. Because if the owner is in the room, I think guys will actually take it more serious. So Dennis, if you can get the owner to just sit in the room and stare at every coach, stare at every player, make them intimidated so they can know the importance of this match, and let them know that every job is on the line, that everybody's on the hot seat, they'll take it serious. Especially if the owner's in the room with you too. Now, NYCFC, my message to you, why this is more important for you. NYCFC, you are a great American story. You're the homeless team, but you're not any ordinary homeless team. You're a homeless team with swagger. You're a homeless team with confidence. You're a homeless team, but you're an alpha. You only been around since 2015. And it only took you 6 seasons, 5 to 6 seasons to win an MLS Cup. It's only taken you 5 seasons to position yourself as the face of the Eastern Conference in the MLS. You already leapfrogged the Red Bulls. You already leapfrogged the New England Revolution. You already leapfrogged Philadelphia. You're getting ready to leapfrog Atlanta based on how you do this season. Like, if you can really win these 4 titles, you will leapfrog Atlanta. So NYCFC, you're playing this match to let the Red Bulls know that your era is done. You're no longer the face of New York. New York is our city now. We run New York. Because the Red Bulls had over 20 years to win the city, and they have failed. no MLS Cup championship, no CONCACAF Champions League title, no US Open Cup title. In 20 years, the only title they have is 3 supporter shields. That's it. No national titles, no continental titles, just regular season titles, just average at best. That's what the New York Red Bulls has been. But NYCFC, you have gone above and beyond the Red Bulls. So this is what you're going to do on Wednesday night, NYCFC. Not only are you going to embarrass them, you are going to take the life out of that entire football club. You are going to take the life out of that entire organization. That's what you're going to do, NYCFC. That should be your goal. It's your job to let them know that we are the team of New York. And we are going to be the face of New York for the next 50 years. When people think about New York soccer, the first team they think about is going to be us. Oh, and guess what? And here's another thing you can tell them. We're able to do something that you're not able to do, Red Bulls. We're able to have dinners and meetings with New York politicians in order for us to get our own stadium in one of the boroughs. While you had to go to New Jersey, we got the swagger to have dinner with Congresswoman Diana Ayala. We have the swagger to have meetings with big businessmen. We have the swagger to have dinner with the mayor of New York. We got that swagger. We got that power. And you don't. So NYCFC, you're going to use this match to tell them, you're going to let them know, hey, a shift in power is getting ready to take place in New York soccer through this match. You win this NYCFC and you go on to win the US Open Cup title, New York is yours. You don't have to win another MLS Cup title this year. You beat the Red Bulls on Wednesday and you go on to win the US Open Cup title. That's 2 national titles that you won before the Red Bulls. The city of New York is yours. This is why I'm saying the US Open Cup is more important than the MLS regular season. The US Open Cup, national title. Supporter Shield, it's just, your limit is just a regular season title for one league. You're not playing against multiple leagues. So, who do I believe is going to win? I don't know. And that's not really important to me. New York Red Bulls, the state of your organization is on the line. NYCFC, your goal is to tell the New York Red Bulls, to show the New York, the state of New York, the city of New York, that you are the face of New York now. You have one club in NYCFC trying to take the life of another New York club, the New York Red Bulls. And it's the New York Red Bulls' job to prevent that from happening. So sporting director, Dennis Hamlet, Red Bulls owner, Dietris Matisic. I don't know if you're currently in Australia, wherever you are right now, but if you and Dennis Hamlet could set up a private meeting with the coaches and players and tell them the importance of this match, let them know that the state of this organization, the state of this club is on the line with this match. If y'all can do that, that'll be good. It's much needed. NYCFC, your job is to conquer. Conquer and destroy. Because it's your mission to emerge as not only the face of New York, but the face of soccer in the Eastern Conference. Because the MLS desperately needs an Eastern power. That's when the popularity is going to come. And you, NYCFC, you look like you want to be that team based on your actions.
Now that I'm off in the day, ain't no way I'm turning back. I don't like my brain no more. You around my casket, trading in my tuxedo for this unashamed tee. Reppin' for my king, though I was dead and broke it till my maker, he made me alive. 2 bolts in my neck, you can't call me Frankenstein. I'm in a place on the fire with a flame, and I'm not from the loop, but I got clear sight.